I'm not a huge fan of chaos, right? So despite not being a very big fan of chaos, I participated in a process of helping people buy insurance that is both chaotic and confusing and can be, acrimonious. And I called this, actually I stole this from somebody, but they call it a broker bake-off. I wrote a post about this a couple weeks ago. And essentially, this is a system where brokers will call a client or a prospect about 90 days ahead of their renewals. And what they'll do is they'll say, hey, let us come in and quote your insurance, see if we can bake up the best insurance pie for you, right? And your organization may do this on a periodic basis. The idea, I think, from the customer's perspective is they want the brokers to compete, right? But it's almost never that the brokers actually compete on what the brokers do. They're basically trying to put together the best quote, package of coverage with the lowest price. Best coverage, lowest price, right? And so you'll have, let's say B1, B2, B3, and they have, carrier, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's say these 3 are the hot carriers for your industry, and 4 and 5 are on the bench. They're probably not too bad, right? But they're not the hottest ones. So something important to know is that the first submission is the one that gets the quote, right? So they could all be quoting, and there's going to be X's here, right? There's going to be blockages. And what usually happens is one of the first things, in order to make a submission complete and reserve a market, you need loss runs. Focus on the runs, because the very first thing your agent's going to do when you request loss runs, and this is your agent here is the incumbent, he's going to run off to these markets before these guys can even do anything, right? And then, this is the worst part. It's so chaotic and crazy. Then, if the incumbents block these markets, these guys are going to be coming to you saying, I need you to sign a broker of record letter so that I can get a quote. So they're already having you sign broker of record letters just to represent this carrier to you. It is a chaotic mess and puts you in the middle of these relationships. And here's something that some companies will do. They'll do something, it's part of the broker bake-off, but they will assign markets. That's where you as the client say, all right, B1, you get C1 and 3, B2, you get C2 and 4, and broker 3, you get C, 5 and 6, right? 5 and 6. Now, this still doesn't stop your incumbent from messing this up with submissions in first. And again, you could be in that broker of record to honor your word, your assignment of this market. If the incumbent, and they'll just be like, oh, sorry, we didn't realize that was a thing. You know what I mean? They knew, like if they know C1 has got the business this year and they have access to C1 and you're with like C10 over here, this is carrier 10. They will be putting a submission into C1 no matter who. And again, because they're incumbent, you have a relationship with, wow, you might just concede and be like, all right, well, broker 1, you just see what C3 can do. Maybe we'll give you some 7 or something along those lines, somebody else. And then they'll probably bounce. They'll be like, nah, I don't have time for this, right? And so you can never really get to know what they could do for you or what 3 could do for you, or 7 for that matter. I mean, maybe they're you know, blind squirrel finds a nut every once in a while, right? Anyway, so assigning markets doesn't really relieve the chaos. And, you know, if you have these BOR situations, like multiple brokers bringing submissions to the same carrier, even if, you know, the market's assigned and, you know, the hot carrier gets 2, maybe 3 submissions, what do you think that underwriter is going to think about your account? Does that make your account look better than other accounts they're looking at, or worse? If you guessed worse, you're right. It makes your account look worse. So rather than a broker bake-off, you want to interview brokers ahead of time before they do any submissions, before you give them any of that stuff. And you want to decide who's going to take you to market before any submissions are done, before any of the carrier stuff comes out, before any of the insurance package comes out. So how do you do that? Like, what's the, you know, it turns things on its head. It's a more modern, comprehensive, less chaotic, and organized approach to insurance procurement. How do you decide which broker, you know, your incumbent's definitely going to be representing you with something, but you're going to test that broker. You can't test them with 3 people. It's too much chaos, too much chaos in the system, right? You don't want to do that. You want to pick one. So how do you pick that one? That's the next video. Look forward to it. Thanks a lot for watching.